Ba-doop-a-doop-a-doo-doo.
Nerds! Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about Marvel.
Marvel as a whole.
Don't worry, we're not going to spoil Guardians of the Galaxy 3. First of all, Caleb hasn't even seen it, so he
I
can't
haven't
even
seen it.
spoil it. Second of all, I'm not going to spoil it because we're just sort of talking Marvel as a whole entity and uh not individual superheroes specifically. We'll probably get into those like later on as we go and we start to lose things to talk about. We'll come back.
Cool. So I said we're going to talk about Marvel as a whole, but I want to clarify that we're going to talk about the MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never read a single comic in my life.
I've read comics, but there's so many of them, so I don't know if you it's like scratching the surface.
Have you read Marvel comics?
Yeah, I've read more DC for sure, but yeah, I have read some Marvel comics.
We digress.
Anyway, Marvel.
Okay, Marvel. We don't really need to give a recap on Marvel. If you don't know Marvel, uh, I mean, it's been going for like 20 years. So
Specifically the movies, not the comics. Those have
yeah,
been like
yeah,
100 years.
yeah, yes. I thought that it might be kind of fun to play a stumping game.
Oh, I love games.
Yes, where we can continuously ask each other trivia questions until we stump the other one.
Okay.
Um, we'll start easy. Name the original Avengers.
Six or
Mhm.
the core three? Okay. Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Hulk. Wow, thank you.
Yeah. Um, you said hot guy, I think, and it's Hawkeye.
No, I said Hawkeye. If I was gonna say hot guy about anyone, it wouldn't be Jeremy Renner. Okay, let's see. Uh Tony Stark. Um, what is his girlfriend's name?
Is this a trick question? Because it's his wife by the end,
Okay.
Pepper
Significant other.
Potts.
Oh, cool. Good job.
Cool. Choo choo choo.
A train?
Yeah, you got it. Hooray. Um, what are the six Infinity Stones?
Oh, holy schmoly. You go from six Avengers to I'm gonna ask you six questions next. Um okay, let's see. We have mind, soul, power, strength,
Wait,
uh
strength. I think that's power,
uh the blue one,
which
which
is
is the Tesseract.
which does what?
Shocks people.
No. We got mind, soul, power, space, time, reality.
Reality. Ugh. I think it's super fun with the Marvel series is there's so many like that's one trivia that I cannot like answer. Like I get the basic questions. Anything more than that, it's like pure dumb luck after that.
Yeah, there's a guy who'll like pop up on TikTok every now and then that like asks trivia questions, and if you get all five questions right, you win $5 kind of thing.
Hmm.
But he like always finds these like very like just very niche questions that it's like, okay, like I would have to like watch three Marvel movies before going to bed to understand these questions.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Marvel movie?
Ooh, including like
MCU. We're gonna say MCU.
including the most recent phases though, like phase four.
If your favorite movie is from Phase 4, then sure.
No, it's not. I don't know why I clarified that. I really like the original Thor. I think that one's one of my favorites.
OG
Um,
Thor over Ragnarok.
that well, like I would say all of the Thor movies. It's like if like a tier, like a three-step tier, but really, really close. I really like all the Thor ones. Even the
Interesting.
last one, the Thor Love and Thunder. I know like that wasn't a lot of people's, but
Rank them. Rank Thor 1 through 4. 1 through 4. One being the best.
okay, I think it would go 1, 3, 2, 4.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you. What about you? What's your
I
favorite
would
one?
go 3, 4, 1, 2. Oh.
Uh, You're like, I don't care about my favorite movie. We're gonna discuss Thor now.
Yeah. I think that my favorite is Shang-Chi, which is
Oh
from the
yeah,
newest phase.
they need to bring him back.
Yeah. I just love kung fu movies, and like Shang-Chi just killed it.
Okay, so the live action Mulan, I expected to be a lot more like Shang-Chi.
Oh, that would have been dope.
Yeah, that would have been super cool. Okay, but who do you think is the most powerful Avenger?
Say it on the count of three. One,
One,
two,
two,
three.
three.
Thor.
Thor.
Yeah, I totally think it's Thor.
Oh, 100%.
Although I think the way the Hulk is like written is that he just gets stronger and stronger. He never like if he's facing someone that's stronger than him, he just gets stronger and stronger until he can beat him.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree on that part. However, I think Thor's immortality gives him a little bit of a leg up.
I think Hulk is technically immortal as well.
Well, until his like, body gives out.
No, I think when his body gives out, he stays as Hulk.
Hmm. I don't think the comics have ever gone that far.
I don't know. I have seen clips from like some cartoon
Mm-hmm.
where Thanos used the time stone against the Avengers while they were fighting, and like all of them just like died of old age basically, except for Hulk.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't think Thor was there though. I don't know.
You
I
know,
don't watch the cartoons.
I do really like Marvel, and I really like what they did in terms of like phase 1, 2, and 3. Phase 4, I feel like is struggling a little bit, but they did say it was like the grief phase. So like it was like the phase of rebuilding, but I don't know. I'm having a tough time because I'm like, I've rebuilt already. Like I've already seen the other movie that rebuilt. Don't make me go back to it.
Yeah, it's like that Spider-Man one that was technically the end of phase 3 was good enough for me,
Yeah. Yeah, all the other superheroes, we can just get a quick recap on the next movie.
right? You know the difference between like the between phases and sagas, right?
Yeah.
So the first saga is the Infinity Stone saga. Do we know what saga 2 is?
Yeah, the multiverse.
Okay,
Yeah. So
that
like
makes a lot of sense.
yeah, it's just about breaking the multiverse and I assume fixing the multiverse. However, their main villain just got in trouble with the police.
Dun dun dun.
I mean, innocent until proven guilty, right? So like
Well, that's how it's supposed to be, but I think he's already been given the boot.
yeah, I don't know exactly what's gonna happen with him, but I'm sure they'll probably just replace him with a different version of himself. I think the multiverse gives like a really cool version of that, so like they could just be like, oh, this is a different version, you know?
Yeah, makes it kind of hard though. Are we allowed to talk about Ant-Man Quantumania?
We can just put a spoiler alert. Anybody who is not near their computer or playing device, pause it now. Okay, now I can.
Okay. In the after credits of Ant-Man, they just used him over and over and over for Kang,
Yeah.
and they probably should have. I guess it makes sense why they did it, but like, I wonder if they're kicking themselves for not like getting a couple other people.
Well, now they are probably, right?
Yeah, I wonder if they could just fix it in post.
All of a sudden Disney Plus, the Ant-Man like end scene just changes. Like different villains at the end, but it's the same guy, just different body shape.
Yeah, or just like one guy. They just got to change one face.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll be like, this one, he's the bad one.
Yeah. Well, because the multiverse is infinite, right?
Yeah, supposedly. Well, and I do know Loki season 2 is coming out, I think at the beginning of next year, maybe the end of this year. But like that will also explain more about the multiverse and get that going. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest here, and I might get a little bit of hate. I'm not the biggest fan of the multiverse saga. I don't really like the idea of multiverses.
Oh, you did not.
I know. Yeah, I sort of like just a story is a story, and then like if you want to continue it, I feel like they had the people there to continue it. Um, but I feel like they could have given them like a different like problem to solve or something. I don't know. The
Yeah.
multiverse is just really, really confusing, and I feel like they're even confusing themselves.
I think they did pull the writers from Rick and Morty into to Marvel to try to help them figure out the whole multiverse thing because like that's a huge Rick and Morty theme.
Wow. Well, that's like their whole like show is
Yeah.
the wow. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, but I think they did that like a while ago. So guess it's not paying off.
Well, okay, when I say that there's like mistakes, what I mean by that is like so for instance in like Loki, right? In the TV series, spoiler, it's been out for a while. Okay, so spoiler, Loki had different versions of himself, and this is why I brought it up when we were talking about Kane, is because Loki had like alligator Loki, and then like that girl Loki, and then the president Loki, and then the old guy Loki. But then they show Kane, who's supposedly like different versions of himself throughout the multiverse, and it's always the same guy. So like there might be some significant behind it, but I don't think so.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't make sense that he would look the same in all of the multiverses.
Well, even okay, just to back it up, right? Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire,
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Which one's your favorite out of those three?
On the count of three, ready? One, two, three. Andrew
Tobey
Garfield.
Maguire.
Oh,
Uh
I like how goofy he is.
yeah, okay. Yeah.
Why is Toby your favorite?
Just because he was the first, I think. I don't know. Those movies are just so great because like the I think those movies are what made it so superhero movies could exist at all.
Yeah, I do agree. I do think that Spider-Man was one of the more successful ones in the beginning.
Like, do you remember seeing a superhero movie before that?
No.
Like I know that like the old Batmans exist, but as far as I know, they're all like super goofy.
Well, and I know that they had Superman and Superman Returns, but even those sort of flopped.
Yeah. Yeah, and like Spider-Man was like kind of the first one that's like, hey, we know that like this is great for a cartoon, but to bring it into a movie, it's like you can do it.
Yeah.
Like they showed that you can do it. And like a lot of people don't like Spider-Man 3. And I think part of the reason for that is the director was told by Sony that Venom had to be the bad guy and he doesn't like Venom. The director was like all he's just evil to be evil. There's no rhyme or reason behind
Oh.
his evilness. So he didn't want Venom in it. So they had a bunch of villains in it and like Venom was shoehorned in and didn't get done justice because the director didn't even like him. Like, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of why that ended. But I do like that Sony has the rights to it because it's making it so we keep getting new Spider-Mans because as soon as they stop, Disney's gonna snatch it up.
Yeah, well, that's true. Disney will snatch up anything related to superheroes now.
Yeah, seriously. I heard that Namor in Wakanda Forever,
Hmm.
the rights for Namor are even stickier than Spider-Man.
Oh, really? Why?
I don't know. Like, well, I think it's because like superhero, like the rights to superheroes were just thrown around left and right back in the
Mm-hmm.
day,
Yeah.
and um, there was something weird that happened with Namor. I don't remember who he went to first, but he wound up with Universal, and they've been holding it like forever. But Disney found like a loophole where they're able to use him as a supporting character. They're just not able to make a Namor movie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, like I didn't really like Namor was fine. Like I think his cause was just. But then again, like it comes back to like if you're piggybacking off of what you just did, which was Endgame, like Namor was saying, "Wow, we were keeping our place secret, right?" And
Yeah.
like, okay, but Thanos' snap would have affected you as well. It didn't matter if it was a secret. And so
Oh,
like,
yeah, that's interesting. They didn't even talk about how it affected
no.
them.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I really like credit where credit is due, right? Like the original phases, one, two, and three, by far, they revolutionized the way that movies are done. They revolutionized like stories and backgrounds, and they showed that 3 hour movies aren't necessarily boring, and like you can fill it up with a lot of stuff. And then like, I mean, amazing. But if you're gonna piggyback off of that and not come up with a new story, you still have to answer the questions. And in the beginning, I feel like they were really good with consistency, and now they're just sort of like pumping them out, trying to get that money.
Yeah. It's all about that cheddar.
Talking about Marvel, um, in comparison to its brother DC,
Brother?
cousin, dad, mom.
Nemesis?
Oh, there it is. What do you like about Marvel that DC doesn't have?
Um, oh, this is actually what I was trying to remember what I was going to say. How did you know this?
It's like we're related.
Marvel, right?
Nemesis.
uh, well, that's actually it. It's the Nemesis, the Nemesi. Marvel has better bad guys, in my opinion,
Oh.
and I think that's really what, like, I mean, that's like the biggest one is that
Mhm.
like the villains are just better. Like all the DC villains, like, has any DC villain had any other motive other than taking over the world?
Not really. I mean, Lex wants to protect Earth from Superman, so he consistently tries to kill Superman, and in doing so, he kills hundreds of humans. So,
Sounds like taking over to me.
no,
Yeah,
I
okay.
agree.
I
Yeah, I
guess
agree.
if I could add a little bit on the end, they either want to take over the world or they just have some weird beef with the main character only.
Yeah. Yes.
But like, I don't know, Marvel's villains are pretty good. I mean, Thanos, the big bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's kind of got a point that like things are getting too overrun, so let's just cut it back. Although he's stupid because everyone's just gonna, like, the population's just gonna come back up.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what you do.
Should have just wished for infinite resources, my guy.
Well, it wasn't even about resources, like the way that Marvel made it seem with it Eternals coming into the picture. Like they tried to explain Thanos' existence, and it's like you don't need to explain his existence when his existence was already explained well enough. Like
Yeah,
that problem already exists. It makes sense that he would try to be fixing it, but in maybe like the wrong way.
yeah. But I mean, he's got a good villain story. Like
Yeah.
like Killmonger's got a good villain story.
Yes. Ah, I do agree. Killmonger. You heard about the girl who broke her braces?
No.
She was like, whoa, he's so hot, and she started to clench her teeth so hard that one of her braces snapped. And then,
I don't see how that has anything to do with his motives.
well, I'm just saying, like, they picked the right person to play that character, and he executed it so well that, like, he had a physical react, like, people had physical reactions to that guy. And, like, um, I mean, Michael B. Jordan ended up paying for her braces, but, like,
Well,
I'm
that's
all
kind.
I know. What a kind villain. But I'm all about like villains who are like people really want to defeat.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah. Well, and going back to the whole DC versus Marvel thing, I think DC didn't think out their storyline as well as Marvel did.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like credit where credit due, right?
Yeah. Like if you look at DC, it was like, I mean, it's kind of like they came out with Iron Man, which was Superman, you know. And then they came out with uh Superman versus Batman, which is basically Civil War in Marvel.
Yeah.
And then just immediately throwing it into Justice League, which is throwing it into Avengers. Like that would be so confusing. And it
I,
was.
yeah.
They're too concerned with the whole DC versus Marvel weird stuff. Where in reality, all us nerds want
Is all of
is a
it.
is a good DCU and a good DCEU.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, that's it.
Yeah, we'll eat it all. Nom 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 nom.
Okay, phase one.
Mm,
I know this, but the people listening don't know this.
I probably don't know this.
No, you definitely know this because we were talking about it earlier. What is your biggest gripe with the end of phase one?
Are you talking about the end of Saga one?
Yes, sorry, the end of Saga one.
Okay, I am a little bit livid, and here's the reason why. Obviously, we know Iron Man dies, right? He sacrifices himself. He goes, I am Iron Man, pulls the biggest boss moves ever, gives his life up, doesn't get to see his daughter grow up, all for everyone else in the whole universe, all because he loves Peter Parker. And like, I get it. It's awesome. Iron Man's a cool character. Robert Downey Jr. totally deserves that hero movement, but I also hate it. It's my biggest grievance. And the reason why is because Nebula in the comics, Nebula is the one who is supposed to kill Thanos because they've been building it up this whole time, starting with Guardians, that Nebula was the weakest thing that Thanos has ever come across, has ever created, and the one the exact opposite of the one who gave him the power that he needed, which was Gamora, who died. So essentially, in or Nebula is the bane of Thanos' existence. It would have been so much more poetic, so much more like deserved if Nebula was the one who kills him. And here's the piece de resistance, right? Nebula ends up dying because the stones were just too much for her, but she was able to carry it out. And it proves that she wasn't a machine after all. Oh.
Boom. If this mic wasn't so expensive at $30, I'd drop
Thank you. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, like I didn't know all that about Nebula until you told me about it. Not today, like when we like years ago.
There's pretty much
Years
nothing
ago.
we can do whenever we talk about Marvel. I always have to bring it up.
Yeah. Well, because I think we first talked about it when I was like, oh, I just don't like how angry this girl is. Like, just freaking calm down. Because she's in Jumanji and she's like a normal human in that.
Well, yeah, she got her start in Doctor Who.
Never seen it.
Ah, don't tell
Yeah.
Mary that.
Um, but yeah, like yeah, you're right. She should have been the one, especially because like I feel like most fans wouldn't have seen it coming.
No, and okay, I know Robert Downey Jr. wanted to get out of the movies, right? But like, you could have given him a martyr moment just as big, but not have him be the one who ends up like snapping at the end.
Yeah.
Like
Well, he
honestly,
also
like,
doesn't even have to be a martyr, really.
well, he could. Well, I mean, I think Robert Downey Jr. wanted that, and I think Disney allowed that influence from his personal wishes to do that. But I sort of like would have preferred if Robert Downey Jr. like ended up saving Peter Parker, and like giving his life for Peter Parker because they already have that like father son relationship. Or maybe he gives it for Captain America, who in the last movie, Civil War, well, I guess two movies before that, they were in a fight. So that would have been cool.
Yeah. And like there is this I've seen this thing circulating where it's like if you look at Iron Man 1 and Captain America 1, like Captain America pulls the sacrifice play, and, gives up on having any kind of life. It's all about the greater good kind of thing. And Iron Man's like the exact opposite. It's like, I'm just doing this for me, like forget everybody else kind of thing. And they both grew into Captain America was finally like, I'm gonna take some time for myself, and he went back in time and
Yeah.
stayed with Peggy. Peggy?
Yeah, Peggy.
Peggy Hill.
Hoorah!
And then Iron Man pulled the Captain America and sacrificed himself.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I guess that is kind of cool that it's like perpendicular growth, not parallel growth, but parallel. I don't know. I'm
yeah.
not an artsy guy. I don't know what the right word is for it.
I don't
But
know.
like it is kind of cool that that happened. But I do wish that Nebula would have used it.
Oh, 100%. Like I do, like I said, I do agree that like that it was a good ending in terms of endings, right? Like it was cool to see everyone get together at the end in their like fancy clothes rather than their super suits. But like I feel like Thanos deserved that punch in the gut. Was like the daughter he didn't care about was the one who took him down.
Yeah,
And all he had to do was just show a little bit more love, you know?
yeah. Oh well, missed opportunities.
Although I will say this, and maybe you will agree with me. I do feel like they plan to use Nebula in the future. I know that Karen Gilligan said that she didn't want to come back, but I feel like she likes the series enough that she will.
Is her last name Gilligan or just Gillen?
Gillen, sorry. Gilligan's Island.
Gulliver's Travels.
Good. Gar gar gar.
That's an inside joke, everybody. That's what we call Gardevoir from from Pokemon in Smash Brothers. When you get Gardevoir, when you use the Pokeball, she comes out like Gardevoir.
Gar
But
gar gar.
we always heard Gargagar.
That's how cultured we are. We give up after the first syllable.
We got to make a shirt that says Gargagar.
Gar gar gar. Karen gar gar gar.
Oh gosh. That wasn't even a derailment. That's
my face matches my shirt.
okay. 10 years later.
Sorry, guys. So Thunderbolts. Do you want to explain what Thunderbolts is for people that don't know?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny because Thunderbolts is actually based off of the guy that you couldn't remember his name.
Who?
uh,
Oh,
I for
Ross.
yeah, Ross. They call him. I don't remember his first name. I'm just gonna call him Gary. Gary Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah.
So he basically tries to pull a Nick Fury and puts together his own Avengers that he calls Thunderbolts, and it's all of like the knockoff Avengers, but like it's kind of like Suicide Squad vibes, but like not quite that extreme. He doesn't take criminals and put them in those positions, but like I mean, like Abomination is going to be the Hulk, so in that case he does. But
Yeah.
he just kind of takes like the more ruthless versions. So like Captain America is going to be the U.S. agent, I think he's called, but it's the guy from Falcon and the Winter Soldier who was supposed to be Captain America.
Yeah.
And then Yelena is going to be the Black Widow. Haley Steinfeld is going to be the Hawkeye. Abomination is going to be Hulk. Um, I don't know. They might bring Don Cheadle into that, just War Machine for like the Iron Man.
That'd be cool. Well, the only reason that I'm pumped for Haley Steinfeld is her and like Florence Pugh's banter reminds me of Chris Hemsworth and Robert Downey Jr.'s banter and like just that like familiarity that they had in the beginning of the Avengers because it's so big now that all these actors and actresses don't know each other.
Yeah, that's true.
And so when they get together, that like chemistry and rapport isn't there. But
Yeah,
then like because Haley Steinfeld and Florence Pugh were in Hawkeye together, and because it was a series, it's like longer recording than just a 3 hour movie, right? So like they have that relationship. And I think that's also what I'm missing a little bit in these later phases is like the relationship building because they already have those established relationships, but like they're not necessarily building them anymore. They're just like, yeah, this is a relationship, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. What are your thoughts? I just thought about this while you were saying that about how like people don't like get to know each other and stuff. What are your thoughts on how many Marvel TV shows there are now?
My thought on that is that it's okay, I guess. I don't know. I'm a little bit behind. I liked this Loki series. I absolutely loved WandaVision. If you guys are watching this instead of just listening to it, that's like pretty much my whole background right now are the Funko Pops of WandaVision. But like they sort of ignored them in the movies.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing with Kang. Like he was like the big reveal at the end of Loki.
Yeah.
So, like me going and watching Ant-Man, it was nothing to see him like right from the beginning. I'm like, oh, that's the bad guy. But um, people who just watch the movies, like, it's probably like, oh shoot, like we're doing a whole multiverse thing here.
Yeah, and you're like, we've known about it for like 2021.
Yeah, and like I asked you that because like I don't mind the TV show things because I enjoy content, and I think having a 10-hour TV show is better than a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
But I feel bad for everyone who like doesn't have the time to like sit down and watch it. Like, okay, so every time I go and watch a Marvel movie with Janessa, it's like on the car ride to the movie theater, I'm like, okay, here's some things you might have forgotten that you should know. And she's like, oh yeah, I don't even remember remembering that.
Yeah.
And like, because like she didn't watch What If, so
Well, neither did Preston, and I had to like spark notes it for him on the way.
yeah, yeah. So there's like a lot of that going on, and I mean, it's probably not just an experience that you and I are having. It's probably an experience that a lot of people are having.
Well, especially if you don't have the spouse who's putting in the work, right? Like you guys are both going to the theater being like, ah, this will probably be a good movie, and then you like leave being like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a tough spot for Marvel too, because like they're trying to push a full narrative of like this whole 6 phase sagas thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of people, I think the majority of people want to just go to the movie theaters to see a movie.
Yeah.
You know, like especially now, like you have to watch hours and hours, like days of Marvel. If you've missed something, it takes forever to catch back up.
Yeah, seriously. Like I used to ask people for like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, like, hey, have you seen those? And they're like, no, they're just too long. And like now even with Marvel, like that's like a month long commitment just to watch all of it, starting from 2004 Hulk, you know?
Is that the first one, or is Iron Man the first one?
Technically Hulk, and then Iron Man came out in 2006.
Oh wait, are you is 2004 Hulk the like first Hulk,
Yeah.
but not the Incredible Hulk?
No, I think that one was 2005 or 2007.
Incredible Hulk was,
I think so, yeah.
because Hulk is not part of the MCU technically.
No, but it does get the character started.
So does Incredible Hulk though.
Either way, though, right? Like it's so far back that 3 hours that we're like currently discussing isn't even a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, that's true. Is there so okay, what's all of the Marvel that you haven't seen so far?
I haven't seen the Miss Marvel series on Disney Plus, and then Moon Knight. Oh,
Uh
and also I guess because they did adopt this, I haven't seen like the Netflix series of the Punisher, Daredevil, and Jessica Jones.
have you seen Iron Fist though?
No,
Well,
I
that's
didn't.
another one.
Yeah, and that alone, just those like series that I just mentioned, is over like 60 hours worth of stuff.
Jeez. I think they are. giving some leeway with those. Like I don't think you have to go back and watch those ones like you kind of do these other ones.
Well, I also have the luxury of talking about being an average nerd, right? Like I also have the luxury of like knowing them before knowing them as those characters, you know? So like I know that Daredevil, I know him. I know his story. I've heard about him. Do I need his full story to understand his role in the next movie, you know? Like no, not really.
Yeah, that's a good point. And honestly, that's one of the things I think they really nailed with Spider-Man, not rehashing the whole Uncle Ben thing again. That was just such a relief.
Oh, you said it.
Yeah. For me, the ones I haven't seen are all those Netflix ones, but I don't think I'll ever go watch them because I don't think they're really necessary. I think they're introducing those characters in their own way in the MCU.
But you've seen Miss Marvel?
I have seen Miss Marvel.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I saw a TikTok and I want to know if you agree with it. They said 80% of phase four was like just okay. And then they like flipped through a bunch of stuff. And then they said some was good, which like took it up to like 90%. And it like flipped through like Hawkeye. It flipped through like um Black Panther #2. And then it said, but you were the best, and it was Moon Knight.
I freaking loved Moon Knight.
Oh, really? Like it's
Moon
that
Knight
good?
was so good.
Really?
So
What
good.
made it so good about like comparative to the other TV shows? Why is that one so much better than the other ones?
It has nothing to do with the rest of Marvel. You could watch Moon Knight without watching any other Marvel thing.
I see, this is what I miss. I hate that Marvel, well, not hate, but I'm frustrated that they keep bringing in people and then trying to connect these stories when they could just make a good story on its own.
Yeah. Well, I think there probably are some things that were connected. Like, I mean, I it's been like over years since I watched it probably,
Yeah.
but it's just so good. Like, I want to go watch it again.
I did hear that it was scary. Is it scary?
It is scary, but like not super scary.
Well, they had a Christmas special for Guardians of the Galaxy. I haven't seen that one.
I saw that.
Was it good?
Yeah, big spoiler alert, 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 alert. Go away if you haven't seen it.
Okay.
Mantis is one of Ego's kids.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do they talk? Oh, another spoiler alert, 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 alert. Do they talk about that in Guardians 3?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But
Interesting.
there it goes again. Like everything you see in the TV shows are coming at you in the movies. So it's like the TV shows are kind of inconsequential.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like I Marvel is really good. I really like it. I like their story building. They have the capability to get somebody who like me who is looking for good stories. And to be honest, I feel like I ruin stories often because like I know I've seen so much stuff that I can guess a plot so easy.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I'm with Preston, I'll be like, "Hey, you know what they're gonna do?" And then I'll like tell him, and then it happens, and then he's like, "Did you watch this before?" And I'm like, "No, probably not."
Yeah, I guess the most off the wall things in Janessa's just like, how did you know? And I was like, I mean, that's just where the plot was going. Like,
Yeah, like two characters look at each other and you're like, ah, they're in love. And then like
yeah,
and then somebody is like, no, they're not. And you're like, okay, could it be more obvious?
right. Sometimes I'll just be like, oh my gosh, this is gonna happen. She'll be like, what? I'm like, do you remember the old lady in the background like an hour and a half ago who like didn't even have a line?
Yeah.
That's why.
We're terrible. Okay, but at least I'm not a person who asks questions during a movie.
I I think I'm worse than that though.
Are you a fact movie teller?
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Marvel in the beginning, they were so detail oriented. And I think that's why people really latched onto it, especially a lot of nerds or people who classify themselves as nerds because of all the detail. Like it just became like a blanket of like facts and knowledge and like continuity. And you're like, I'm just gonna snuggle up in this.
Yeah, well, and they've also been getting more and more complex. Like if you look at it, they kind of started with like this pseudoscience, like Tony Stark's like, oh, I'm going to create a new element kind of thing. It's like, oh, I've heard that word before in science class,
Yeah.
and like they're like it's like a very easy story to follow where bad guy is collecting rocks, must stop bad guy, you
Yeah.
know? Like that's a really easy plot to follow. But then like you get into the multiverse saga and all of a sudden there's like different timelines and everything. And like I feel like the general population starts to get lost when you start talking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, it did used to follow like that a character arc of hero has power or finds power. Hero uses power for the first time, likes it, starts to use it more and more. Power fails, and then they have to become worthy of it or find it again and then believe in themselves and then defeat villain.
Yeah.
But now it's not like you said, it's like hero and the same hero and another of the same hero all
Yeah.
in the same thing. And you're like, what the
Well,
heck?
yeah, and the villains are getting to be so like I don't know, personable that it's like not even like you want to defeat the bad guy. It's like you want to help the bad guy not be bad.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, just kind of go back to heroes beating villains. But what I'm saying with like the whole multiverse saga though is like I feel like the general population is like, wait, so how does this fit in the whole timeline thing? Because the timeline is just getting muddled now. And it's not like everything isn't really pseudoscience anymore. It's more magic. Like I feel like Doctor Strange is kind of the lead of the Avengers now.
Yeah, I agree. Hmm.
And he's a literal magician.
Yeah, and I feel like that line of reality and fandom is now becoming further and further apart rather than when it was actually playing. You're like, yeah, the Avengers could be a real thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we could find a metal and make a shield because that's the most practical thing to do with this metal.
Yeah, you're like, what am I gonna do with it? Oh, a shield, you know? Like,
Yeah.
how many Iron Man suits are at Comic Cons now, you know?
I don't know. I've never been to Comic Con.
Neither have I.
Maybe one day we'll have a booth there.
Oh, that'd be sick. Uh
Let's put it on our vision board.
Vision Board 2025. um yeah, I love Marvel and I do appreciate the efforts that they're making to keep it going. I have a lot of hopes for the future, and I do think that they're not necessarily going to let me down. Like I'm still going to be not disappointed in the $10 that I spend, but I think I am going to be my hopes are really high, I guess.
Yeah. For me, more and more, I'm starting to think I might as well just wait for it to come out on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I mean, we pay for like a movie subscription, so we get like unlimited movies for free. Well, not for free, but for our subscription. So like for us, we're not spending that, but we don't have a Disney Plus subscription. So
Hmm.
yeah.
I'm like the opposite. My movie subscription only gives me one ticket a month, but I do have Disney Plus, so
Well, if there's anything ever that comes out like The Mandalorian or something, you know, we'll like pay for a month or something like that. But like there's just so much content to consume that Marvel, who once was my priority, is now like way down the list.
what's your priority then?
Right now, Ted Lasso.
Oh, I've heard that's so good. I need to watch it.
Caleb, today, no joke. Any subscriber who is a little bit on the fence about Ted Lasso, it definitely swears it because it's a British show. So British people don't have the locks on swearing that America does. You can say the F word as many times. And I apologize for that if you just aren't about that. And I get it. No offense to me. I'm not offended. But that show made me cry today. A good tear. Like I like most of the time I'll like tear up, right? Like I'm a tear upper, right? Like anything.
You're a straight crier. I've gone to the movies with you.
It was one time, and you looked over and you said, "Are you crying?" And I was like, "How could I not cry when Spock just said, like, I love you to Captain Kirk who's dying? Like, come on,
To
you'd
be
have to be."
fair, you were the only one crying in the whole
No, no,
theater.
no. You had mist in your eyes. You just didn't let the tear fall.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did. Don't even lie.
No, I didn't. I don't lie about that. I tear up when the music is good.
Okay, but what I'm
Okay.
saying, Caleb,
I'm more likely to tear up in How to Train Your Dragon than Spock dying. Okay.
but what I'm saying right now, right? Ted Lasso, I will vouch for it personally. The values that they teach in that show are impeccable. Like it makes you want to be a better human being. It makes you come away from it being like, how can I be more positive in my life? And I love it. Well, you need to watch it and we'll do a podcast on Ted Lasso.
Okay. It's on Apple TV.
Yeah. And you can get, I think, like 30 days free.
Nice. Well, I have T-Mobile, so I get it free for a year.
Oh, yeah. Well, season 3 is out right now. So I'm telling you, Caleb, if you can get past the swearing, perfect.
I've seen Schitt's Creek. We're good.
Ew, David.
Gross, David.
Anyway, I know that that was like a super broad overview. Do you have anything else you want to say about Marvel before we head out?
I just wanted to know what your favorite Marvel superhero is.
Oh, Caleb, come on. Come on.
So for our listeners, she's gesturing to her Funko Pops in the background, and they appear to be Elizabeth Olsen
Yes, she
in
is my
her
favorite
Scarlet
Avengers.
Witch.
Who's your favorite Avenger? Elizabeth Olsen?
So Scarlet Witch is your favorite?
Yeah, I love her. I love her story. I think it's such a rags to not really riches, but almost riches.
Rags to Witches.
Oh!
Ooh.
For the listeners, we both just dabbed at the same time. Unscripted. Who's your favorite Avenger?
um,
Don Cheadle.
pre-movies, I would have said Captain America.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What did you say that made you giggle?
Don Cheadle?
Don Cheadle. No, I we can. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I am actually not a very big Iron Man fan at all.
Neither am I. Like, I understand the appeal and I totally get it. I know why he's big. But like I said, it comes back to that ending. It really makes me mad.
Yeah. But to continue what I was saying, before the movies, it was Captain America, and by Avengers #1, it was Thor.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I've kind of stuck with Thor, and like there, I mean, there's others that are just like top five that we can get into later, but like Thor is so cool. I
He's
love
like,
Thor.
yeah, I really like Thor. I think honestly, he's like the epitome of a hero in like everything that he stands for.
Yeah, I feel like they're kind of losing his whole like innocence and altruism from like the earlier Thor movies. Like they're starting to make him more of just like a funny guy, but like he is just such an upstanding dude.
Well, never once did his morals waver. It was always how good is too good, and then like he always just becomes overconfident. And I feel like that's a
Yeah,
hero trait, you know?
yeah. Oh,
That's
he's
a good
so
one.
cool.
Such a good pick. Let
I
us know
I
what your guys' are.
yes, in the comments, comment. Please comment your favorite superhero, comment your favorite Marvel movie. Get mad at us for not being Iron Man fans.
Although if somebody gifted me an Iron Man suit, I wouldn't be mad about it.
I would wear it. But yeah, I mean, while you're commenting, go ahead, like and subscribe, or dislike and maybe don't dislike. I don't know if that does bad things to the algorithm.
Yeah, it does. Don't dislike.
Don't dislike. If you dislike it, just comment that.
Yeah. Yeah, comment it.
Also, join our email subscription. That's going to be big in the future when we decide to start doing giveaways and whatnot.
We love you guys.
Love you guys.
Wow.
Nerd.